What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to JT's Mixtape. This is episode number 57. And if you guys are enjoying these podcasts, please give me a 5-star review on either Apple or Spotify. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. Thank you.
Come closer, my child.
What's going on, y'all? This podcast is brought to you by Modern Roots Life. Modern Roots Life is a Christian-owned and operated company, and it's bringing real health back to its roots. They offer powerful, all-natural health supplements such as beef liver, cod liver oil, beef tallow, magnesium, and mineral-rich salts, all sourced the way God intended. Clean, simple, and from the earth. So whether you're looking to boost your energy, restore mineral balance, or just fuel your family with real nourishment, Modern Roots Life has got you covered. Guys, in this community, we're trying to get healthy in our mind, in our body, and our spirit. So don't neglect your health. If you want more information, check out modernrootslife.com and check the link in my description. You know, people often ask me how they can support me. Well, I think it's pretty cool if you can support me by supporting the people who support me, and you get something in return. And being healthy is a pretty good return. Well, we got the whole crew here again today. Once again, I'm your host, JT. I've got Brian, Demon Racers, here. What's going on, brother?
Nothing much, man. Ready to talk about some stuff.
And we got the Music Man, Aaron, Tune Thy Heart. What's going on, Aaron?
What's up, y'all? Good to see you guys.
Yeah, it's good, man. So we're recording this as of, it's Thanksgiving week, so we're recording a little bit early because it's about to get chaotic, probably all around the roads and the airways and all that kind of stuff. And what else is happening this week besides Thanksgiving is the final season of Stranger Things is coming out. So I thought it'd be fun to talk about that. And I'm going to tease this, and hopefully by the time you see this, we actually had made a video about this because I've got a Stranger Things theory, and I will tease it on here. But yeah, I just think it's interesting. Brian, have you watched any of Stranger Things?
No.
I knew it.
Never.
I knew it.
Wait, okay, I tried to watch like the first, I think I got like 3 episodes in, and then I was like, nah, I just couldn't do it. So I kind of know the premise, and you've talked enough about it that I know what it's going on. So I know the story. I've seen like first 3 episodes or something. So I've kind of got some preference.
Yeah, okay. And Aaron, you said you've watched the first 4 seasons like I have.
Yeah, I've seen them all. Yep.
And you do plan on watching. So what, does it come out? I think it comes out Friday.
I believe so.
Yeah, the day Black Friday comes out, I believe. And so, yeah, this is the final season. And all the kids are really old now. And I don't know what grade they're supposed to be in, but they're all about 25 years old.
Yeah, I'm honestly more curious about how they're going to manage that than anything. That's one of the things for me is why I want to see it. But I mean, for me, the plot kind of got lost a while back, but the cinematography and the soundscape and just the way that they film it and put it together I dig that for sure.
Yeah,
I went to the town where Stranger Things was filmed, and I went to their actual town just recently.
In Georgia?
In Georgia, yeah. I was actually, one of my friends, they live in that town. So I went there, and the whole town is just like decked out with Stranger Things stuff everywhere, and I was like, this is totally demonic. Like, but I was just like walking through the town, and it's like they've got like painting of the monster thing on the wall.
The Demogorgon or the Vecna.
The Demogorgon. Yeah, it's like their ice cream shop in there. We went into the ice cream shop, and it's just like they're selling Stranger Things items that they all have. Like everywhere you go, it's just Stranger Things everywhere in that town.
Yeah, I want to say that, so the show is set in a fictional town in Indiana called Hawkins. But I want to say, is it called Franklin, Georgia, is where it's actually?
It's in Butts County, actually.
Okay.
I think, but I don't know. Don't forget the name of the
I think it's Franklin, because I looked this up because I was trying to get some details about the Hawkins lab and all that kind of stuff, and I wanted to see what was there in that town.
I could tell you stuff.
Okay, we'll get into that. But what I want to do is I want to show this video, and I've mentioned this before, that what I find interesting, what Aaron's kind of intimating, is that season 1 is really solid. You know, it's solid. I think it has a spiritual component to it. It has a conspiracy government thing in there, a conspiracy government MK Ultra, project in there and all the kind of stuff. And it's obviously it's set like it's ET. That's
Yeah.
clearly what they're trying to go for at the very beginning of the show. So it's got a lot of elements that I find interesting because as being a kid of the 80s. But yeah, like the kids are obviously set to be just like in the movie ET when they're playing. I think they might even be playing Dungeons and Dragons at the beginning of ET before the monster shows up, who's a nice monster. Yeah, so I think, but what's really interesting about the show, and I've mentioned this many times, it's based on this true story about the Montauk Project and something that was going on in some secret military base, some former Air Force base in New York. And this is where the mythos for the whole show comes from. And a lot of the elements that seem probably very fantastical, they're all based on real things. And I think that what my video and my theory, like I said, I was teasing, we'll watch this video about this, and this will kind of lead you to some details. But if you guys are familiar with the show, I think you guys the details might click. And I think what's really interesting from my perspective is kind of what this show has been talking about over the last couple months, as we've been talking about encounters that people believe are physical, but are they physical? It's like, are people seeing in the spirit? So if you watch a show like Stranger Things, it's presenting it in a physical way because it's a visual show. So the people's reactions to whatever they're seeing are physical and real, but they're obviously trying to portray fantastical ideas in a show that would be fun and interesting or scary.
Can I give a anecdotal component to that?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so like when I was in the town, there was something. Well, finish your idea before you start. Let me say this. Okay, wait. What else are you gonna say? Something else?
No, I was just gonna show the video about like the kind of the Montauk Project.
Okay, yeah. Let me do this just before you go to the next thing, because you mentioned the spiritual aspect. I was in the town where they filmed this movie all the time. The entire town was overrun with a spirit of idolatry. And I'm talking like when I walked, and here's the crazy part, bro. The people, my friends that live in the town, live off the land, basically. They have like their kids, they have like 8 kids or whatever, and they run around barefoot, okay? And they have like turkeys and animals, and like it's like their house is so cool. And it's just like a farmhouse. And most of the people in that area, in that region, are kind of like that. But the town people, not like that anymore. Like the town was and right next to that town, I went to the other town where my friend was staying, which is where they filmed The Walking Dead. Okay, so there's a town where they
got a bunch of weirdos. You got a bunch of weirdo LARPers coming in to do some kind of grotesque tourism of these places. Now.
This is the weird part. So like there's multiple towns, and there's another town right down the street where apparently they're filming another movie that is, and every town in that region are being put under spells. And when I walked into the towns, I was like, this is unusual. Because it's like, and by the way, that town has Freemason stuff all over the place. They have an old
all
building.
Through the South. There's tons of stuff in the South. Yeah, these little Freemasonry lodges.
They're middle of the town. The big tower building is got like Freemason stuff all over it. The ice cream shop I went to walks in, and there's a big Freemason G thing with the little square and compass above the ice cream store. And you're like, why is that even there? It's just so obscurely placed. But you see this stuff everywhere. And you're like, when I walked in, I was like realizing, I was like asking like God, I'm like, what is going on? Like, why is this like this? And bro, it's a spirit of idolatry that's moving into each little section where there's people that are not fully a part of society, that are not fully a part of the media, that are not fully a part, and it's moving into these little towns, and they're making movies to put the spell of Hollywood and idolatry over the whole town to drag them in to this worldly perspective. So they're intentionally making movies in these little towns everywhere throughout that area, throughout the region, and they're making it so they can drag the townspeople and all the people into this ideology, to this idolatry thing, to be like, oh, this movie is filmed here. And it brings them into the concept of Hollywood. So they start watching the movies, they start watching the media, and they're not people that just live off the land like they were before. That's literally what's going on. So each little town, there's a Walking Dead town, there's these towns, and they're just idolatrous towns dragging people into the world of media. That's what I see. Like, it was pretty clear too.
Well, that makes sense also because Hollywood is like dying big time too. So they're moving into cheaper areas to shoot all the stuff that they once probably would have shot in Northern California or something. Like that's back in the day. That's probably where this show would have been. It's kind of like, do you ever see I Know What You Did Last Summer? And it's supposed to take place in some coastal town in North Carolina. But then, of course, they're driving around the mountains and the cliffs. there ain't no mountains on the coast in North Carolina, because everything gets shot in somewhere northern or southern California, because that's what they used to do. But obviously it's probably crazy expensive, so they don't do that anymore. So now they're moving their big operations to rural Georgia. But anyways, let's watch this video. And so this will give you kind of we'll catch you up a little bit on the kind of the history or the conspiracy about where Stranger Things comes from.
Here's 8 dark truths about the Montauk Project that makes you question whether it's legit. Did you know that Stranger Things is actually based off the Montauk Project, and the original screenplay was actually called Montauk? So this will be one of the most out there theories that I'll probably cover, but there are real facts about it that make it seem a little bit more legit. So the theory is that at Montauk Air Force Base on Long Island, and underneath the base, that they conduct experiments on kidnapped kids. Apparently they take kids that are either homeless or from sex workers, or maybe their parents are alcoholics and just don't have means to go after them, and they're taken to this base into rooms deep underground, and they perform crazy experiments to try to learn more about mind control. And these kids are called Montauk boys, and there's apparently a thing called the Montauk chair that they would use and strap the kid into, the one with the most psychic ability, and then there would be a kid next to him as almost like a fuel source, and then they would shoot electromagnetic waves into the chair and just kind of see what happens. Apparently they were hoping it would amplify these psychic abilities and give them insight into the mind, and also potentially time travel and time manipulation. And according to the book, one of the last experiments that they did, the psychic was able to conjure a monster out of thin air that rampaged the base, ended up killing people, and I think they kind of shut down the experiments after that. Again, I know that sounds crazy and pretty much the exact scene from the first season of Stranger Things, which is pretty cool, but here's where the facts come in. So the author of the book, The Montauk Project Experiments in Time, he was supposedly someone that worked on the project but had suppressed memories, and then they later came to light. And after the book was published, other people started to come out saying that they had these weird suppressed memories about being a Montauk boy. Now, a lot of people may have just been trying to get attention, but here's where the weird things come in. So one of the people that came forward saying that they had these suppressed memories said that they have memories of being drugged with LSD and taken to the acid room, where there's this colorful paintings everywhere, and they were just given the drug over and over. Years later, in 1993, someone broke in and went exploring with some friends, and they had a VHS camera, and they recorded the whole thing. It's like an hour and a half, but they found the acid room. It was this room painted with all these psychedelic colors, and it wasn't graffiti because it was too well done, like the ceiling, the walls, and everything. So how creepy is that? And while exploring on that same trip, they found a room with receipts on the ground that showed that they were buying 80 grand worth of food every month in 1985, which was years after it had been decommissioned. That's pretty strange. This is an actual picture of the Montauk Air Force Base, and according to the official blueprints for the base, there's no underground tunnels and rooms and all of that. But to me, there looks like there's something right there. So this base was one of 12 that had this type of radar system, and all of them were decommissioned about the same time, including this one, but all of them were broken down except for this base. And after they stopped using this base and decommissioned it, they gave it to the state of New York to be a state park, but the government still highly patrols it. Like actual government blacked out vehicles.
So yeah, there's a lot there. So the interesting part
that goes right along with that, bro. I have an interview of one of those people that I can share with you right now.
Okay, hold that thought. Let's keep it on the Stranger Things first. So what's interesting too?
I think it's one of those kids. The interview is one of those people in that thing.
Okay, we'll get to that.
Okay.
Now, what's interesting is that 11 is a girl, but you see how she's portrayed at the very beginning of the show is she's got very short hair. You couldn't really tell, even at the very beginning. I think that when she's first seen, they mistake her for a little boy. And so they also kind of maybe even conflate the missing boy, who's Will Byers. He's kind of like the original. This is the kind of antagonist or protagonist in the show that pushes it all forward, is because Will Byers goes missing in episode 1, season 1 of Stranger Things. Now, so I want to get to my theory, and then we can kind of speculate outside of all this afterwards. So the theory goes is that what the show shows you is this thing called the Demigorgon shows up. And it's interesting because in the beginning of the show, they're playing Dungeons and Dragons, and this is a real character in the game. You know, of course, the name just being Demigorgon, it's like demon Gorgon. So the Gorgons are like Medusa. There's kind of like snake type beings or something. So I don't know if it's just a conflation of both those two things together. But for all intents and purposes, it's a demon. But it's in the game Dungeons and Dragons. So I think that's kind of interesting the way that in the show they're playing it and the Demigorgon's going to get them. So then Will takes his bike and then they're leaving. You know, him and the other kids leave, what's his name's house, Mikey's house. And then they're going home. And then the other two kids make it home, but Will does not. And then so this monster, this demon's chasing him. So eventually he goes into his house, goes into his shed. The lights start to flicker. And also, they don't really show that the demon takes him, but he just disappears. So we just know there's like all this electrical interference, which we often talk about with demonic encounters. And so what I think is interesting is because with the discussion we've been having on this show, we're saying like that demon could not have snatched this kid because this demon is a spirit. I'm not saying he doesn't see it, and I'm not saying we don't see it. And that's kind of what the show is portraying is the demon takes him to a place called the Upside Down, which is this kind of inverted dark dimension that is parallel to here. Because it looks just like the regular place they live, except it's all decayed and just grotesque. Now, what I think is interesting, so eventually they kind of played like the clues that they're dropping throughout the show, and knowing it's based on this Project Montauk or Montauk Project, that eventually the cop Hopper starts to look, he starts digging, eventually he starts digging around the lab, and then he starts to pull out all these magazine or these news clippings that talk about these doctors or these mad scientists that are connected to MK Ultra. And so just I started to think
about MK Ultra.
But the show actually is showing all this stuff. Like you can clearly tell it. And I want to say that they said the early
they
script
mentioned MK Ultra.
Yeah, literally.
Oh yeah.
Oh
I mean literally
gosh.
he's reading like there's newspaper articles and he's reading that it's mentioning MK Ultra on here. And so
Wow.
Yeah, for real. And then so what's interesting is that eventually, so he's finding these clues and eventually he goes and visits the lab and he's like, I don't trust them. Well, around episode 4, it turns out that they're still looking for him, but he's in this alternate dimension. Well, it turns out that like eventually they find a body, right? They find this dead kid in this kind of this rock quarry, like this super deep, lake and quarry or something. And then the mom has been kind of talking to him through the lights and through the walls in the house.
Is it the actual kid's body?
Well, that's the interesting part about the story is that when this happens, there's they're showing you that the lab is getting involved and they're trying to control the investigation. And so then later it turns out that the body they found was just a dummy. Like once Hopper, the detective starts.
What's a dummy?
Well, it was like it was a fake child. It was like it looked real, but eventually he shows him like he's cutting into it. He's doing some kind of a autopsy, and there's just stuffing in it. It's not a real person. So my conclusion in the show eventually was I was like, wait a minute.
Can you make a fake body to look like a?
Well, no, that's the thing. The lab was kind of controlling the whole investigation, and they got their own coroner. They got their own person to find it. It's like so nobody really saw it that up close. It's like they pulled a body at night out of the water. And like it looked real enough until somebody inspected it. But if they had their people doing it, then everybody makes sense. This kid goes missing, finds him dead. But that was the point of it, was that the lab was trying to fake this kid's death. And so my theory in the show was the Demigorgon didn't take this kid. The people at the government took the kid.
Yeah.
Because later in the show, eventually, so the end of the season culminates with Hopper and the detective or the sheriff or whatever, and then the mom go to the lab, and of course they're showing them going physically through a portal to go get him out of the Upside Down. But the point is they have to go to the lab to get him because he's there. It's like I think that's what they're kind of showing you. They're showing you like a physical monster. But the funny thing, even in the show, the monster really never leaves any tracks that he was actually anywhere. Like they'll show him like coming through a wall and he's ripping a hole through the wall to enter the room, but there's no hole there afterwards because he didn't need to come out he didn't physically need to open the wall to come out because he's a spirit.
Is the monster trying to eat people or kill him, or is he trying to like kidnap him?
Well, that's the thing. It's kind of like they really don't show you what he's trying to do. Of course, he looks like he's very threatening. He looks like he's trying to kill them. And eventually, I think at one point they do have a kind of a battle with him. But the point is like that he's interacting and he's coming out of this alternate dimension that's parallel to ours. And what they're actually showing you is that 11 is obviously she's really probably the protagonist. She's the one who's showing that she's had all the experiments done in this lab, and now she can enter the upside down without entering any kind of portal. Because what she's doing is she can astral project. She can use like the static in the TV, and she can communicate with the upside down through a radio. She can, they're showing like one of the scenes, they get this pool of water, and she's, they put a bunch of salt in it so she can float, so she can zone out and go into the upside down. So she can enter the upside down at any moment that she wants, because they've already traumatized her enough through all of the experiments they put on her. So now she can do that. And so I think that's another interesting component, is that when they first go to look for, when Will's mom first goes to the sheriff to talk about he's missing, she mentions how special he was and how they were seeing doctors and stuff. So I wonder if that was the instance where the people at the lab made the connection. We need to snatch this kid, because the kids at the lab obviously didn't come there willingly. They had to take them. Like, all of the kids were either taken when they were infants, or they kidnapped them.
So what is special about Will?
Well, I mean, again, I guess the thing is, like, that they show in the show that 11 obviously is more special than the other kids. And then there's a few that have very special powers. But I guess the truth is it has something to do. I guess the thing is, they're making experiments on them. They don't know who's really that special. All they're knowing is they're connecting with people that are a little bit different, or probably coming from like bad backgrounds. So if they take them, then maybe people won't know. And he's coming from a broken home. He's hiding in the woods. He's got a little fort in the woods. And maybe that's where they snatched him up. Well, I guess they snatched him up in the woods. But I guess that's the interesting part, is that, yeah, so eventually when he comes back, they finally get him out.
He's the only one from a broken home, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
everybody else has two parents.
There you go. He's already emotionally splintered. That's why they chose him.
And then so
Wow.
at the very
That's
end
a
of the
piece of plan right
season,
there.
he's back, and he's at the house, and he's eating dinner with his brother and his mom, and everything looks like it's great. And then he goes into the bathroom, and that's like kind of like the very end of the season. He like coughs up these black slugs, and he just starts to look, and then he's in the upside down. Like, so he didn't have to be taken to the upside down. Like, he's in the upside down because his brain is so traumatized. So like, he didn't have to go back to the lab. He didn't have to go through a portal. Now he's already there. It's because whatever they did to him at the lab have made him accessible for astral projection and this kind of psychic viewing stuff. And that's like
Brian,
literally what, yeah.
Well, I was going to say, and Brian, if you've seen it, the upside down literally is just the astral realm. It's the same as landscape and everything as where we live, only it's all dark and shadowy, and it's the shadow realm. So it's like, that's basically any time that they go to the upside down, they're just astral projecting, really. Like, that's...
Yeah, so
But
no, go ahead.
But in
want
the
to finish.
show, you can get to the astral realm through portals. So it's like they're like blurring the line between like.
Well, yeah, that's what I think. That's what they're doing. They're trying to make it understandable for an audience. They're trying to make it an interesting show. But if this is based on a real thing, which it seems like it is, and if there's any truth to these stories, it's not like, again, they don't need your wall doesn't need to open up for a demon to come out. The demon's already here if it's in your house. He can go through walls. And so he doesn't leave a lot of physical evidence that he was there. And so I think that's the interesting part about the show, is that they want you to think these demons are physical, but it's actually a spiritual thing. And what they're showing you in the show is not actually the reality of the situation, because they would not need to. I guess the truth is, like, the lab would not have needed to fake this boy's death if they didn't have some kind of implication back to them. Because if it was literally just a monster from some different dimension took him someplace that nobody knows, well, then they would never have needed to do that, because he would just be missing. And how could anybody implicate them by some spiritual monster taking this boy? But yet they do intercede, and they do try to throw everyone off the track because they did it. And I think that's the thing. That's the story here. It's like, that's what they're doing. It's like they took children, they abused them, they traumatized them, they forced them through all kinds of weird tests to astral project into a demonic plane.
Well, it's disassociation. They want to get to that point of disassociation. I mean, it's the same thing. Like, when people see demons, the demons don't just come out and kill you. I mean, like, the demons could kill you. They would, right? So it's like, why don't the demons kill people? Why do the demons, they put you in a state where you're just petrified and you're stuck in that state of fear? Because that state of fear causes you to just not want to be there, and it gets you to just disassociate and tether out of your body and like not be in that place. I mean, this is what trauma does. In fact, I just dealt with a kid not even a few days ago. I prayed on my prayer call. There was a guy that came on my call who was so disassociated. He was like, when he tried to talk, and I've dealt with a few people like this actually. This is about the third or fourth one, where when I ask them a question, they are so disassociated from a trauma that happened to them that they are not even present. I'm like, hey, what's your favorite color? And he's like, blue. And it's like, it takes like 3 seconds before he answers any question I ask. And it's like, they're so disassociated from an experience that happened to them that they don't even want to be there. They don't want to be in their body. And that's the perfect vessel, because then the entities can enter in and speak directly through them and you channel into them. They become
they're trying to separate people from their vessels through fear, because once they separate you from your vessel, they can possess your vessel.
Yep. They can use it. You become like a car they can drive.
But I guess that's the real question is, if this is just mad science, they know that you can go to this different place. And I think that's when they talk about some of these telepathy tapes, and we don't know how real that is, but it's like, wasn't the CIA was trying to use these psychics to literally go spy on people through remote viewing, where they went out of their bodies and went to places where it's inaccessible to real people. So I guess it could be both, is like they were trying to get these kids possessed by demons, but it could have just been like just the complete just apathy. Like, who cares? Like, all I'm trying to do is get this astral projection to be functional for whatever we're trying to do.
Yeah,
and
no,
then
I
the
think
demonic possession's the side effect. And that kind of leads into like the future seasons with that character Vecna, who was like seemed like a demon possessed kid. They do all the same tests on him, and eventually the demon completely possesses him, and now he's not even human anymore.
Yeah, they were just trying to, and I truly believe that. I believe they are just trying to weaponize these kids. They're just trying to weaponize them and use them for military purposes, to gain intel, to gain insight, all of that kind of stuff. The demonic stuff is a side effect that they're just kind of like, okay, like that's the repercussion of what they're doing. I believe that wholeheartedly. And I think, I mean, obviously even the storyline of Stranger Things supports that.
Yeah, Vecna was a kid at one point. Sorry,
yes.
Keep going, Aaron.
No, that's it.
Okay, so Vecna was one of the kid at one point.
Yes.
And so
yes.
Vecna's the new monster guy, right?
Well, in the first season, it was just the Demigorgon, and he's dispatched at the end of the season. Again, 11 kills this thing, but she doesn't use any weapons. She uses her mind because, again, he's not a physical creature. So she uses whatever her mind powers to kill him. But then later, Vecna becomes the bad guy. But in future seasons, Will again cannot control his projection, where he's like he's there one moment in the real world, and then he's terrified because he's in the upside down. Like, he can't control it anymore.
So he just disappears randomly all the time.
It's not that he disappears. Who knows what people actually see? It's like mentally and spiritually, he's in this alternate dimension, but he doesn't have to go through any doors or anything to do it now.
So his body's there. So what's he do? I've seen one where his eyes go white. Is that what it is?
I mean, I guess that's probably what it is. It's like that people probably don't recognize he's just having some kind of probably a psychotic fit from the outside, but he's
okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because you're really only seeing it from his perspective. Like, he just knows that the world is completely upside down when he's there, and then he'll snap back into reality, because it's like they broke his brain in the lab.
From ritual sex abuse is what we call that, by the way. Children.
Well, I mean, I guess whatever they did. I just think it's interesting. I know that in that video we played, it showed that kind of golf ball looking kind of thing where it looks like it probably has something to do with radar or whatever. It made me think of, you know what it made me think of? The X-Men. You remember when Professor X would go into Cerebro? So, of course, what is Professor X's powers? He would be able to use mind control through some kind of psychic manipulation on people. And then, I think it was him and Magneto built this thing where he would put on this kind of cap, and then he could amplify his powers in order to, he could remote view. He could control people's thoughts. He could kill people if he wanted to through his brain. But what if that is part of the story too? What if that's what they were doing? It's like, so they would find these children who did have psychic powers, and they would get them to astral project, and then they try to use like that kind of chair with the electrodes and stuff, and they put them in a thing that they could amplify the power.
Because That's literally what they had on Eleven's head.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it
that's
was like a
true.
little
Yeah, that's
mini
right. Yeah,
Cerebro
they
thing.
had all those things on her. Yeah,
She was wearing that white outfit. Yeah.
Okay, can I play the video of the Monarch survivor from the 1990s? Can I play it?
Yeah, sure.
Check this out. Okay, this is so this guy supposedly survived.
I was created by a government program,
Which government program?
Monarch.
And what is Monarch?
Monarch is an operation that was created by the United States government to create spies for other countries. They use children for the purpose that they are easily integrated into multiple personalities because they can dissociate. The program was to, as a young man, get adults who were powerful political leaders into positions where they could be compromised.
That was your mission.
That was the initial mission. The whole mission was for me to go into the military service and become an officer. And a few years after that, retire from the service. Not retire after 20 years, but after 6 years. And move to Germany. And then their initial plan to take over or to run the government was to put me in an ambassador spot. And then later to come back to the United States and to run for an office, and they would be the ones who control everything that I did.
So you would be an operative, so to speak?
I would be a puppet.
A puppet. And you say this plan broke down in 1986, but yet you told me that you still felt that you were under the control.
I am still under their control because I do not answer phones anymore because that's how they get the others to the triggers, is what I'll call them. They're not personalities. They contain no memories at all. They were put in as hypnotic suggestions and only come out when, as I said, a code is presented to them. And that happened several times in 1989, which is why Paul and Mikey's memories are so confused. At that time, they were attempting to destroy me because they were attempting to access suicidal personalities and other personalities that would get me in trouble with law enforcement. When they program the personalities, or the triggers, as I call them, they would call me up and they would use a code. I would simply switch into that trigger, go to where they told me to go, whether it would be or get on an airplane because they would already have the tickets there. They would have the tickets there under a name that only that trigger would know, and go to wherever it was. There would be somebody waiting for them in that city and take them to wherever it was that they were supposed to go, bring them back to the airport, put them on the plane. They would come back home, and as soon as they walked in the door, the memory of everything that had just happened would be erased completely.
It's really weird because he knows so much about the circumstance because a lot of these people are so traumatized they can't remember what it is. So somehow he was able to sort of break out and realize the phone was what was doing the thing to him, and he was able to realize that his memories were getting erased. So I don't know how he figured that out.
Well, it sounds like,
yeah.
But isn't that funny? Because that's kind of what that first video was showing you, that these memories, the guy who wrote the book had forgotten. It was like these memories came back to them. And a lot of the quote unquote victims or survivors of this all had the same thing where years later, so that, I mean, obviously it could lead people to believe they're just making it all up, but that's kind of, it actually kind of fits, is that they did have their memories kind of wiped. And you know what this makes me think of? More about the X-Men. So just think about this. So just think about like the whole mythos of the X-Men. So they're a team, right? But what they started as was this: Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters. They got kids with special powers, and the guy who can control people's minds is the one who started this team.
It's so disturbing when you realize that it's gifted youngsters, because what they're actually doing to these youngsters is like a ritual SA abuse, you know?
Right, but you see, so 1407 Gray Malkin Lane, Salem Center.
What?
Westchester
Salem Center?
Yeah,
Are you kidding me?
Westchester County, New York. So
New York in Jerusalem Center.
Well,
that's
it's not
funny.
Well, not just that. You know, that's where that's where, you know, like the real story about Stranger Things comes from, is from Long Island, New York. Well, I mean, Salem and Jerusalem are the same thing. Even Melchizedek was the king of Salem.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yes.
and that ended being Jerusalem. But yeah, that the idea is that through whatever kind of things that they did to these quote unquote mutants, yeah, a lot of them got tortured and stuff. And that's kind of the story of Wolverine too. Like Wolverine has no real memory of how he got the claws and everything, like the adamantium and stuff. So that's one of the reasons he goes to Professor X, is because he has no memory of all the stuff he's been through.
Well, what people don't maybe fully realize is that they did these tests in labs so that they could recreate these tests in mass over the whole country. That's why, like, that's literally what advertising and media and all that stuff does. It's like, so his trigger was a phone, but like now some people's triggers might be a commercial. So they see something, they hear something, they want that thing, they literally switch into a different personality, and they have to have that now. Whether it's the car, whether it's the food, whether it's like going in and having sex with someone, like they've done that same mental operation on the entire United States. And everyone now, I don't care who you are, like some people might have less than others, but everyone's got triggers that they may not fully understand or realize, where the second they see something, hear something, think about something, they go into a mode where they're consumed by that thing until they snap out of it. And I know that I know you guys and everyone that's going to hear this is going to be like, oh my gosh, because everyone can relate to that.
They want us all to be like Will. Like Will, when all of a sudden you just get triggered and all of a sudden you're in the upside down.
Well, just so you guys know, that's why they do things like ritual sacrifices like Charlie Kirk in front of everybody, because those are the spells that they are doing in front of people intentionally to create trauma responses. Do you understand? Like the fact that Charlie Kirk was murdered in front of people so publicly, that is a trigger trauma response. And here's the crazy part. Somebody mentioned this. They said, it's really weird because they've posted videos of people dying, and there's been videos of people dying with blood or whatever that get banned immediately. But the Charlie Kirk video was not banned.
No, it was not.
It was not stopped.
Shown to everybody.
It was not banned. Every platform allowed it to play. And the guy was like, why did they allow this video to get by the algorithm? Why was this being gotten by on the algorithm when it's clearly very traumatic looking? You're witnessing a man dying right there in front of your face. Well, it's because that's how magic works. This is how spellcasting works. This is how trauma response works. If you everything Charlie was saying up to this point, love Israel, love Israel, love Israel, love Israel, and then we kill him, like that creates anybody that goes against Charlie Kirk. That can't possibly be. He supports Israel and they killed him. It's got to be the bad guys. It's got to be the people that are against Israel. No. The problem is they waited a little too long before they did their trauma response thing, and he spoke a little bit about, against Israel, those last few videos he did. And so the trauma spell didn't work as well. But there is a bunch of people that I've talked to that I'm like, you realize Israel's the one that did it? And they're like, never. They're like, no. And I'm like, did you watch the last 5 videos Charlie posted about it? And like I had to show them, and it breaks the spell off of them. And it literally, they go, oh my gosh, I had no clue he texted that. I had no clue he was doing that. And you can see the spell just breaking off of them. And it's very fascinating to see it. But that's witchcraft.
Again, to like we were talking about, Aaron, about how they're trying to create these situations where they can eventually amplify it to the general public and influence people. Yeah, because that actually, if you do see the progression of whatever these programs were, I mean, a lot of them just put under the label of MK Ultra. But yeah, I forgot what the very first one was called, but I want to say Monarch was probably next. And then they had all these different names for it. But obviously they went from, I think they started with experimenting on POWs, and then it was like prisoners and insane asylum people, I think. And then it was Tricks and Johns. Oh, no, I skipped a step. I think they went from POWs to our own soldiers. Then they went to the mentally insane and degenerates, like people are criminals. And then they went to Tricks and Johns and unsuspecting people. But then the clear progression was they were going to just start doing it to everybody, because obviously they were
Operation Midnight Climax was that one.
Yeah, right. Well, that's where they were. Yeah, Tricks and Johns. So they, but yeah, like I did hear something about this, and again, this is alleged, but they were talking about working on some kind of aerosol kind of spray that worked on people, which is
they tested that.
Well, that's totally frightening. But what I was thinking about, like in that,
we're test subjects, the three of us.
The very first X-Men movie, like when they came back out, so Professor X and the X-Men are the good mutants, and then Magneto and his guys are the bad ones. But Magneto had a superiority complex about it. Like, he didn't want to hide. He didn't want to get along because he thought they were like gods compared to regular people. And so what he was going to do, though, he was going to make everybody mutants. Do you remember that? He comes up and what isn't it funny? He goes to what is it, like the Statue of Liberty?
Yeah.
And he's got this thing where he can like magnetically shoot this kind of beam out, and that's going to turn everyone into mutants. How about that? Electromagnetism and the Statue of Liberty, and he's going to turn everybody into some kind of mutant freak.
Well, the electromagnetism is in your cell phone now, and it's everywhere. So it's like the Magneto Project
is the 5G. Is it the 5G project?
I'm at the point now where they've put so much stuff. I mean, our food, our water, like scripture tells us to be sober minded. I don't think anybody's sober minded anymore. Everyone's drugged with something. Not even kidding. Water, food, no matter what, like no matter, I fully believe that unless you have supernatural protection and you're washed by the blood of Christ and you've got the Holy Spirit protecting you, there's no way out of that level of mental manipulation, mind control, or whatever they're trying to do, whatever they've been trying to do. The only protection is the Holy Spirit at this point. Like, nobody can change my mind.
Do you think that kind of idea of like a calcified pineal gland, do you think that there's any validity to any of that? Where it's like that we do have something where whatever we're eating, whatever we're being exposed to is literally there's literally a physical chemistry component that's messing with our brains that makes it harder for us. It's not something to say that, oh, you have to do this. I believe, the Holy Spirit is going to be more powerful than any kind of spell that you can be put under physically or any otherwise. But I do think that's interesting, the idea that the stuff they're putting in the water, obviously there's that big push to get the fluoride out of the water. It's making people dumber and more suggestible. That's like, wasn't that RFK was trying to do that? Was trying to get fluoride out
Allegedly.
of the water? Yeah. Has he done any of that stuff? I mean, we knew he was talking about doing that. But is that kind of a situation where, that would actually calcify part of your brain, and then it does seem like that movie Idiocracy is a real thing. Like, everyone, it does seem like they're getting
It's not even a question. Look at Crocs. Crocs literally tell the whole story.
That's evidence.
Crocs for sure.
Crocs tells the whole story, dude. They created Crocs for that movie. They literally
did.
Dude, the producers made Crocs because they said, we want to make something that's so stupid and so base level that looks like the kind of thing dumb people would wear. I think I'm directly quoting what they said.
Wait,
so they developed Crocs.
Did they make them, or did he just find the shoe that was the stupidest looking shoe he could find?
Well, so they either, I think the story might go that they were looking for the dumbest shoe they could find.
Yeah, that's what it was, I thought.
They found like some startup or someone, like it was just an idea. Crocs was just an idea.
It was a bad idea.
And they took it and made it happen, though. They made it work, and then they made those shoes for the movie Idiocracy. And look where we're at, dude.
That's crazy.
Look where we're at.
It's kind of funny, actually.
Well, it's funny too. I just actually was thinking about something like this because I was driving around. I was listening to like a YouTube video, and it was all about how things are getting dumber, and people's attention spans get shorter. And so Dana White, famously of the UFC, he made UFC massive, and I think obviously it's still financially doing very well, but it's really losing a lot of its luster. Like the big fights are just not there. People are not caring. They're not even trying to promote it as much as they used to. But what Dana White's new thing is that thing Power Slap. I'm sure you guys have seen the like TikToks on that.
Is he behind that?
Yeah.
I had no idea. Yeah, there's a TikToks where like someone gets slapped in their head, does a full 360 spin. Have you seen that?
Yeah, it's like straight up like cartoon stuff. But I mean, admittedly, it would be like a guilty pleasure to watch a TikTok. But I mean, I can't imagine going to an event and just watching nothing but people just slapping each other.
Making a whole night out, like taking the lady out to a slap fight.
Yeah,
babysitters for the slap fight.
Just slap the taste out of that guy's mouth. No, but that's what it's. But if you really think about it, and the way this guy was talking about it, he was like, this is just really just the dumbing down of society. This is a very good example of that, where like mixed martial arts, whether brutal or not, there's a lot of stuff going on, and probably to really appreciate it, you do have to know a little bit about what they're doing. You know, like it takes a little bit of getting into, like boxing and all lots of sports. Like you have to know a little bit about it to really enjoy it more. You know, you don't obviously have to know anything to know this is just two people slapping each other and the person.
Yeah, I don't think you need to know anything about the slap game.
No,
at
and
all.
that's the other thing too. It's like if you really think about it, like that, like the three of us could not become MMA stars, like, or we wouldn't even think it was
Speak for yourself.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, bro. I
Okay,
don't
whatever.
think you know
But the
what
point
I
is,
do.
the point
I
is
don't
that
think-
that people have to train forever to do that, to be successful at it. Either they have to have a wrestling background, a boxing background, whatever. But like
also do
now,
that.
and the thing is, when you have people who are really highly trained and they're elite at something, you have to pay them more, right? But now you could have any kind of guy who's just a tough guy from a truck stop who says, heck yeah, I can slap that guy. And guess what? It doesn't even, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
A tough guy from a truck stop.
it doesn't even matter. They would just say, if you're willing to get slapped and you want to slap somebody, you can do this.
No, they
Bro, I love
literally
it.
honed in on like easy, low hanging fruit entertainment. Like not even a question.
Because it doesn't, yeah, because you
I
don't
watch
need,
the slap fest thing
'cause you
when
really
those
don't
videos come
need
up, I watch them.
like, you don't need Mike Tyson. Like, you know, Mike Tyson would be a very rare kind of boxer that just had just knockout power. Because you don't even need like elite people getting slapped. You just want to see somebody get knocked out when they get slapped.
Well, because yeah, and because they've got all shapes and sizes too. They've got women doing it,
They got
men doing
categories.
it. They've got like the thickums. They got the thin ones. Like all of them, dude. All of them, man. They're all welcome in the slap arena.
Like I said, it actually is perfect for TikTok content, but by and large, it's kind of like that's pretty insane that it would ever become like considered a real professional sport.
Bro, I don't
Well,
know
there's-
what it is, but I've watched them a few times, and I'm like, when they come up, I'm always like, I watch it. I don't know what it is because I'm like, oh my gosh, this dude took a hit.
I think it's the same
like-
thing like watching Jackass, you know, like Jackass, the TV show, and then eventually Jackass, the movie. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's like guilty pleasures watching people get injured. It's kind of
I feel bad
funny.
somewhat, but I'm always like, is he gonna take it? I'm like, dude, that guy took the hit. Dang.
So it explains so much
I
that Dana White is behind it, but like yet also like he doesn't really show himself at those events. He's not like prevalent. He's not like the announcer.
Not yet.
He's not like making himself known at them yet. He's behind the scenes pulling the strings because he's not exactly proud of that move.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
No, I think he
I have a
actually is. I think
theory
that's
on
what
this.
that's kind of what the video was about. Was basically saying like the people at the UFC are getting annoyed. Like the people who are there are a little annoyed. Like the fighters there who once always had Dana White at the press conferences and making him really entertaining. It was kind of like that. It's like UFC and also like WWE are not that different. I mean, of course, they're both probably rigged in a lot of ways, but what really sells like WWE is all them cutting the promos and I'm going to kick someone. So, you know, like they're all the mic work is what's leading to the fight. So they're like building the atmosphere for the fight. And then, so that's what they used to do. They used to have like Dana White there, and you have like Conor McGregor, and he's talking all this trash. And so, like, by the time the fights come, they've really built it up to be something huge. Now, Dana White is promoting people slapping each other. Meanwhile, he's got professional fighters like, I'm not getting paid anymore because you're not helping promote me.
I feel like in the Tito Ortiz days, it wasn't being rigged. I feel like it was real until Dana came along. Perhaps.
Well, I'm
or
not saying all the
sometime
fights are
around then.
I'm not saying all the fights are rigged, but I think how it's really manipulated is because, you know, they want certain people to be stars and then they protect certain people. I mean, that's the same thing with boxing, but boxing's always had really shady decisions and so I guarantee you, if you look around the UFC, there's probably some really horrible decisions and things like that. So
There's probably moments of individual fighters, I would say, that are potentially rigged. Maybe not the whole thing is rigged. And I'm sure there's moments where people are like, hey, throw this, do this. But I don't think, I mean, like,
it's all
think
set
they're
in
all-
Vegas. It's all set in Vegas. You got to think that like that. If we were talking about the other
Exactly.
sports ball being rigged, oh, you know, I got a video for that because I thought this was just a funny video
I have a video too to share that goes along with it. And which, by the way, I think that slapping thing is literally it's prepping people to be connected to something till it kills someone, because there's gonna be like a death with that slapping thing, and that's gonna
Somebody's
be the
gonna get
trauma.
slapped to death.
Yeah, they're gonna
I
get
mean, I guess if
slapped
you
and
get
they're gonna
knocked, I
die.
guess if you get knocked out, I mean that's brain damage, right? I mean, like
Yeah, well,
your
it
brain
can
is
be,
getting
yeah.
rattled around in your head.
Yeah, so they're going to get slapped and die, and you're going to see the slap death, and it's going to make a trauma response. It's literally just a buildup of a trauma response. So there's going to be people that are going to have, things to say or whatever, and then they'll start following them, and then they die, and then whatever they say becomes immortalized in the people's minds. Like, that's kind of how the trauma response stuff happens.
Okay, so what video do you have for us, Brian?
I got a video. It's kind of comical, but it kind of goes along with what's in the water that is influencing people. And this has to do with other people in other countries. And this one's it's really good. Here, I'm just going to play this, and it's kind of funny.
Okay, all right,
Hopefully
good.
it will be. But there's a darker tone to this, okay? It's funny, but it's pretty interesting. Okay.
I'm in Vienna, and I just went on a date with an Austrian girl. I was late because I got lost. I went up to her, I'm so sorry I'm late. And she goes, it is okay, but we only have 13 minutes left. I'm thinking, oh, she's joking. And she shows me a calendar on her phone. She's like, it is the allocated time. I'm like, okay. So I go, oh, let's just go to that coffee shop then. And I go to run across the road. And she goes, no, we cannot cross. It is not green. I'm just like, oh, there's no cars. And we just stood there. I'm like, okay. And then she's telling me about the standard of life in Vienna and how everyone's so happy. And all I'm just seeing everywhere is just a bunch of hot robots walking around. I'm like, okay. And we sit down. And the waiter comes over and he's like, what would you like? Can I have a coffee and a bottle of water? And he just looks disgusted. He goes, our water is very special. We do not serve bottled water. She goes, our tap water is better than any bottled water. It is from the Alps. And everyone in the coffee shop's just looking at me disgusted. And she goes to me, look, I'm very embarrassed. You have caused a scene here. If it is okay, I would like to end the date 6 minutes early. I'm like, yeah, okay. She leaves. And at first I'm like so upset. But then I realize this is perfect. If this was an island, we would have dated for years, just drinking heavily to cope with the fact we didn't like each other. But she just saved me so much time. I'm just thinking, this special water, I think it's called special water because it makes everyone autistic. I'm like, they're all just hot and everyone follows the rules and there's no conflict. And then I'm thinking, oh, it's probably not good that one day in Austria, and I'm already dreaming of a utopia. That didn't really work out for the last guy that did it.
So he's talking about the very famous painter from Austria.
The little mustache man. But they have very special water. So you talk about the pineal gland being affected. Isn't that interesting? Like, we know, like, there has been so many theories about them doing something to the water. And, like, it makes you wonder what's going on in these Austrian people, the trauma they've been through, and whatever they're putting in the water that makes them just follow the rules to the point where they're like robots. And I see this all the time. Like, these sort of demonically possessed people, when I talk to them, they talk like robots. They're like, I'm here now. That's like the common recurrence that you'll see with a lot of people.
Wouldn't you think, though, that the water they would get would be better than the kind of water that we get, though?
You would think, unless you
I think all public water is tampered with. And I think they've gotten to the point now to where not only, and it's not a question if there's stuff in the water. Like, I mean, like, if we wanted
Well,
to,
they need to put
be
chemicals in it because, like, don't they kind of recycle water, and so then they have to clean
That's
it
the
up and
excuse.
stuff?
yeah, they need to.
Well, I
put
mean,
chemicals.
that's what they say. These water treatment centers, like, literally the kind of water that goes in there, it's like a lot of it didn't come out of like the sewage system and stuff like that.
All I know is that you could literally take a sample of your own water and send it to a random place to get tested, and they will tell you everything that's in it. In fact, maybe we should do that. Maybe we should make.
Well, I think that
yeah.
we've talked about that before. I make sure you get one of those kind of filters. I filter all the water because I used to drink the tap water all the time.
That's what's wrong with you, JT. Oh my gosh.
I got on TikTok and I was like, whoop, not drinking.
But what people
that
don't understand is
ever
that
again.
if they bathe in it, it doesn't matter. If you shower in it,
Right,
if you bathe in it
Osmosis.
in any way, shape, or form, yeah, it's getting into our system no matter how you slice it. So again, that's why I said I truly believe that the only protection is the Holy Spirit at this point. Like, being washed in the blood of Jesus is the only. only chance that we have, man. It's the only way out.
Amen.
That is
Hey,
true.
so I want to show you this video. I just want to show you this another evidence that these sports ball games are rigged. Check this out.
This is the most pathetic penalty you'll ever see called. Check this out. So they throw a little dump off in the flats to this kid running back, and look at him go. He's gonna go all the way. Touchdown. Colorado State's covering. He struts into the end zone. But hold the phone. Right at the end, right? He's gonna strut. Hold the phone. And just look. As he struts into the end zone, you'll see the flag come in. And you'll see this called unsportsmanlike conduct. For what? For what? A 91-yard penalty negated, look at that guy, because of a strut into the end zone. I don't know about you guys, man. I don't know, but for me, this right here just simply can't be a 15-yard penalty.
So if this was the NFL, he would, let's just say you can get an unsportsmanlike penalty for like taunting or something. And then they would assess it like on the kickoff. But in college, like the whole thing comes back and they give them a 15-yard penalty. So literally because he dragged his feet, he was getting a little flamboyant at the end, but
Well, he's gay.
that was not taunting. Well, I mean, it was kind of like back in the day, like Dion would have been like high step and he would have really been animated. Like the fact that the guy slid his feet a little bit. I mean, like, yeah, it's not a bad call. It's a dirty call because they're playing at home at Boise
he was
State.
Just slowing down to me.
Well, he was just strutting a little bit. I mean, the guy, it was like a 90-something yard touchdown. These guys are not robots. Like, and he wasn't pointing at the other team and talking crap to him. It's like, I mean, I don't know. I just thought that was interesting because I just think it means this ref did not want that touchdown to count. And he could justify it some way, but anybody watch that, I don't know. I think it's rigged.
And they all agreed, and that was the case. Can you contest that?
No, I mean, because unsportsmanlike penalty would be like just a judgment call from the ref. Like they could give you one if you like said something, and of course we wouldn't really know if they said it or not.
They said unsportsmanlike punch the ref in the face, and then
Yeah,
he'd be like,
you
"There,
should-
now he can give me the penalty."
Yeah, after that, you might want to earn it. It's like, yeah, if you're gonna get it for that.
You're gonna get him. Like, how about he punches him in the face? Then you can give it to me.
All right, let's stay on the theme of what they're showing you in the culture, in the media, is not really what they're showing you. It's representations of things they're trying to show you. And I thought this was pretty interesting.
Explaining bizarre theories about classic cartoons in 1 minute. Actually, Popeye never ate spinach. He took Pervitin, military-grade methamphetamine, and the creators showed a drugged veteran as a children's hero. Frame 1234 shows specific tattoos on his arm. They're not random designs, they're 12-7-41 and 1177. Pearl Harbor's date and USS Arizona deaths. In 1942, the U.S. Navy distributed green methamphetamine pills. Sailors called them spinach. Standard dose, 94 milligrams. Date, exactly 94 original episodes exist. From consumption to rage takes exactly 3 minutes of animation. Know how long methamphetamine takes to pee? 3 minutes. Frame 2847. Pupils dilate from 2 millimeters to 8 millimeters in 0.3 seconds. But wait, it gets more disturbing. Notice the permanently closed eye. Partial facial paralysis from overdose. Slurred speech, extreme strength, manic laughter for 3 minutes. That's acute amphetamine intoxication in 87% of medical cases. And you never notice the most obvious part. Bluto has oriental features in 73 of 94 post-1941 episodes. He's not the villain. He's projected Pearl Harbor trauma. Actually, in 91% of 127 scenes, Olive never eats. Because olive oil isn't his girlfriend. She's a psychiatric nurse trying to contain violent episodes. And here's what Paramount disguised as nautical comedy. Bluto doesn't kidnap Olive. He tries protecting her in 89 of 94 episodes. The villain always loses to the violent addict. The entire series documents a veteran's psychiatric institutionalization with severe PTSD. We watch generations applauding addiction and war trauma.
That literally makes more sense than every single one of the plots from every one of those cartoons they ever aired.
It absolutely does. I used to watch Popeye back in the day. What about you, Brian?
I never watched it, but I've seen enough of it that and I've always seen him like he was sucking it down the pipe, whatever the spinach
Right.
was.
Yeah,
you
like, a
know?
lot of times the spinach went right down his pipe.
Yeah, it's like so weird. It was like, what is going on? I always thought it was so unusual. I was like, I don't even want to watch this. Like, I was thrown off by it. But that totally makes some sense now.
It makes
It
perfect
is, like-
sense because spinach is not going to make anyone strong.
No, but it's a drug.
It makes somebody strong and violent. That
Dude,
definitely
it's
sounds more like amphetamines, right? Yeah, and I want to
Yeah.
say that back in the day, of course, sticking on the sports ball theme, that there was, there's the big steroid controversy with Mark McGuire and Barry Bonds and Sammy Sosa and all that stuff. But then a lot of people kind of shifted the conversation. They said, well, these baseball players have always taken drugs. And what they used to take back in the day, they called them greenies. They were amphetamines.
Interesting.
Because if you think about it, like as much as these baseball players are on the road and they're playing so many games, they're probably over it sometimes. So they would have bowls of these things and they would go reach in and take a few before the game. And it makes sense that if you're hitting, right, that if this amphetamine kind of sharpens your eyesight and stuff like that, it helps you focus. Well, that would be very advantageous to a baseball player. Because that's the same. I'm going to say that's the exact same thing they do with the Air Force. They take the greenies too. And then what it was referenced in the beginning was this thing called Pervitin. And I remember hearing about that when the Germans during World War II, they engaged something called blitzkrieg, where they were doing these lightning attacks. And so it wasn't just that they were going fast; they were like relentlessly going into a place. And these people were not sleep. The Germans were not sleeping because they were all hopped up on something called Pervitin. That's what Popeye took. Popeye was an addict.
Popeye seems like a crackhead, and I've always noticed that, but I didn't really put the association. Like, he's straight crackhead.
No, everything about that dude's crackhead status.
For reals, bro.
The weird, gigantic, overgrown forearms, and the paralysis in his face.
Bro, have you seen like how strong the crackheads
The lack
are,
of
bro?
teeth?
They're so strong. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Did he even have any teeth?
I don't think I've ever seen teeth on Popeye.
No, he did it because he's a crackhead.
He's a gummer, man. Yeah, that's crazy.
It fits though, right?
Wow.
Doesn't it absolutely fit? I mean, I just can't even. Yeah, this is similar to when we were watching the Little Mermaid one, the breakdown about that, and we are like, oh yeah. I mean, that's the funny thing. This is why I like to watch stuff over and over again, because the stuff I miss. I don't know if I would ever made that connection, but I do know that what you would think is you would kind of promote eating, I don't know, something with some more substance than spinach that was going to make somebody strong.
Does Popeye have teeth? No, Popeye does not have teeth. He is a cartoon character with missing set of teeth. He is famous for keeping a pipe in his mouth. 19 comic strip
Yes.
of him joking about his teeth. He's a crackhead without teeth.
Oh my gosh.
I will say it never made sense to me that spinach made him strong. My whole life, dude, even as a kid watching it, I was always confused. I'm like, why spinach? It doesn't make any sense. It never made sense. But especially the pipe thing too. Him stuffing it in his pipe and stuff. It's like
Somebody's.
But that's a Popeye skull.
That's a Popeye
skull. But it's totally a crackhead.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, as a kid, I wasn't buying that. I was thinking like, nah, I'm still not eating spinach. I don't care. I don't think that works. I know they're really trying to make it seem like it tastes real good and it's really good for you, but nah, I'm not buying that. Okay, switching gears. I want to stay on kind of the, maybe the funny theme. This is conspiratorial and it's funny. I actually really enjoyed this video here. Check this out.
Why would you agree to design another airport? Whatever. I did one, you got this. How hard could this be? Okay, so if Denver is here, how about we put the airport over here in Kansas or something? I don't know. I should take a look at this mood board the developers sent. All right. What is this? The fuck? Okay, I think I understand. The exterior of the airport will look like teepees, and the interior will look like the construction of a highway. Travelers can access one of 3 terminals via this convenient monorail system, and once they exit, I guess they can begin their 2.5-mile death march to their gate. We can have this cool carousel at baggage claim for ski and snowboard equipment, and that'll be the perfect place for the gargoyles. Finally, let's welcome travelers to the airport with a symbol of safety and tranquility to calm their nerves. Perfect.
This is perfect. This is perfect.
How accurate was that? skit though.
Yeah, I mean, he left out the part where it's designed like the symbol of the mustache man.
Oh yeah, well, it's got the runways are swastikas, but I want to say that I thought the one thing I can't believe you forgot was the murals.
Yeah, yeah.
The murals, but I mean,
Dude, the murals, and then also the barbed wire fences that are faced inward.
they're trying to keep people in.
They're faced inward. They're not outward. It's literally not to keep people out. And I thought of that recently. It reminded me of that. I saw a video that somebody showed of the border wall being built in Mexico, and one of the workers on the Mexico side came up to someone filming, and they're like, I don't know if you know this or not, but our government is actually paying for this wall. It's not the United States. We're paying for it because we're afraid that the United States citizens are going to try to escape here when things collapse. And so I always thought that the wall was going up to keep people in and not to keep people out. And it reminds me of that.
I'll look for a hole, guys, for us for the future. I'll find one. I know.
I'm pretty sure that the cartels have already got lots of back and
I'm
forth.
sure there's a handful of them.
I just thought that
somewhere
part cracked
between-
me up about like when you do, because it's funny. I was just in Denver when I went out to see Aaron in Arizona, and it was unfortunate. It's like you don't really ever want to have too long of a layover, but I was kind of disappointed. I was only there for it was only like 50 minutes. So it was no time. But that is funny that, yeah, when you get to these concourses, the way Denver's set up, it's literally like if your concourse is on the end, you just have a ton of time to walk. So everything about it, the airport is not very convenient. It's not very convenient land-wise, as he joked. He said, we'll put it in effing Kansas. Because the old airport in Denver was closer to the city. So again, why would you put this airport in the location it was at? I actually think that it has something to do with the underground tunnel systems under there. And maybe that's why they set it up there, is because there was already existing tunnels. Because we're often told about the underground stuff, but I think that it's kind of like them doing stuff at the White House now. And we were talking about how they're going to put some kind of server, some kind of a thing in the bunker. But we already know that there's already tunnels there. So they're just retrofitting the existing things. So what if that's more of the story about Denver, is that they already have things down there, and then they were just all the extra money that people don't know how the budget ballooned. They were utilizing it to retrofit this old ancient tunnel system.
That could be it. I mean, if you saw pictures, I remember seeing pictures like while they were renovating it. And some of those tunnel spaces down below are massive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like hundreds of feet tall and just giant. But I think that could be, but I think it has more to do with location. I think that where it's located is it's like the best of all of the worlds, safety wise, like safe from whatever natural disasters might be coming.
Or unnatural disaster.
Yeah, but like location wise, I mean the climate there is beautiful. It's kind of like right in the center of America. You know what I mean?
And also the airport was built on a Native American burial ground.
Yeah, so who really knows? But you have to ask yourself when you see them building that much stuff underground and intentionally burying it. Because what isn't the story that they built the whole airport and then they're like, oh, we don't like it, so we're just going to build on top of it?
Yeah, that's what they say. I remember I did a video where I discussed all the theories, and supposedly they built like maybe it was 3 or 5 buildings, and then they buried them. But I don't know that makes a lot of sense. Otherwise, like how do you build a building and then bury it without having a gigantic hill?
Right. Unless it was already built somewhat underground.
Or they did just build those buildings underground. The story is stupid because no, they didn't bury them. They built stuff underground. Because that was one of the kind of conspiracies that made no sense. Was they spent hundreds of millions of dollars on this like super high tech kind of automatic baggage sorting thing that was under the ground, and then it didn't work, so then they just never fixed it, and they just didn't use it. That makes no sense.
It doesn't. There's a place here, it's like I think they're from Taiwan. It's a circuit board factory from what I understand, or I don't know, but they bought a massive amount of land, and they brought out like tens of thousands of people. And evidently on this land, I think there's residential places below ground, but allegedly this place goes like 40 stories below ground. And
40?
my uncle actually works for a concrete company, and he went there and he went down below to pour some of the concrete for these places. He was like, it's unbelievable. He's like, there's a whole city down there, an entire city, everything you could imagine down there. He's like, I've never seen anything like it in my life. He was like totally perplexed by it. And I was just like, you got to ask yourself, man, how, like, there's got to be so many of those. And that one is, I think, private land. So,
Okay.
I mean, who knows, man? Who knows? And who knows what's possible? But I think it's a combination of all of those things. I think it's the location. I think that it's the climate. It's all of those things. But I think you're onto something. I think that because of the history of the land, there's a really good chance, because allegedly, right, there's tunnel systems that connect the entire map.
Well, we're
connect everything from
we're
everywhere.
told that, but yeah, it's also interesting. They have like the Cheyenne Mountain Complex is in Colorado Springs, which is like 70
Right.
miles away, and
Right.
that does have an underground city, like 15 3-story buildings under the ground. They're all on
So there's-
shocks and springs and stuff.
Right. So there's a good chance that everything is located there. That they're like that's some kind of hub where they all connect. Also, I could be wrong, but there's a new show that came out. Oh man, I'm trying to remember what it's called. It just aired like a few months ago. And dude, what was it called? But the whole premise of the show, I don't know if one of you guys could look it up while I'm talking about it, but it's just one word, I believe, the name of this show. Paradise. It's called Paradise. The whole premise of this show, you got to watch it. The president, there's this, it's like you see it from the lens of this guy that is he's like on the Secret Service protecting the president, and he's really close to the president. A natural disaster or something catastrophic is getting ready to go down, and it ends up happening sooner than they think, wipes out the majority of the world, and they retreat to a whole underground city. So hopefully I'm not ruining the plot for anybody, but there is an
When did this come
entire, just a few months ago.
So it's on Hulu if you guys want to check it out.
And it's safe. I mean, there's minimal language, minimal violence. There's no nudity. But it's a fascinating story. There's a whole city underground. They've got restaurants, they've got homes, they've got like everything down there. Artificial lighting up above. And I believe that this place, that they built this whole city. I believe it was in Colorado.
How about
And
that?
What is the point of this? Like, it's like the preface is that there was an attack, and it's just the whole thing is them living underground.
The whole premise of this is what life is like. Look at that, read between the lies.
I know. Look at that. Look at the as above, so below stuff right there too.
Isn't that
It
crazy?
says read between the lines on it.
Lies.
Why does it say that?
Read between the lies. But yeah, that's obviously
Oh
a
my
play.
gosh!
But the whole premise is that there was a gosh, what was it? It was like, I don't know if it was I think it was a natural disaster, and then like everyone was like bombing each other or gonna bomb each other, and tons of people escaped, and they had been building this city down like underground, and it was built by like private contractor person, and she only brought X amount of people down there, and like the elites and like all of the different people were allowed to come down there, and he was allowed to come down there with his family because he was Secret Service. But the whole premise is about their lives down there, but then there's like a huge plot that they try to investigate. So the president, and spoiler alert, the president gets killed while they're down there, and the president is actually Cyclops from the original X-Men series. That guy, whatever.
Oh,
his name's
okay.
Scott
Was it
or something.
Jean-Luc Picard? That guy was his name.
That's Xavier, isn't it?
That's Xavier. No, it's Cyclops. It's the
Cyclops.
young
Okay,
guy.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah, sorry.
He's the president. He's the president in the show. And anyway, so he gets killed while they're down there, and he got killed because they found out that people outside were still alive. They were sending people outside of this underground city to find out if there was life outside, and they found out there was life outside. And they wanted everyone inside the city to not find out. They didn't want them to know that people outside survived.
That sounds like Fallout. That sounds like the show Fallout. Because
Similar.
those people were in vaults, which were just underground bunkers.
Yeah.
And then they're told that they're going to be able to repopulate the earth when it's safe to come back out. And then they don't realize that people have already come out and done that.
They don't want people going out. Yeah, it's very similar. It's very similar.
I wonder if what happened in that show was something like this. It was the Denver airport murals.
Exactly.
Highly possible.
Could have been something like this. What's going
Those are
on?
so creepy, dude. Those are so creepy.
But that was
I
of course, I think that was ultimately the mural conspiracy was that
Dude,
this
I can't believe they took that mural down.
No, I
That's
think
the
I think
crazy
those
part.
murals are still up.
No,
Some
they
of
took
them are
down.
still up.
They took them down. I'm pretty sure because I was there and I was like trying to ask.
It's
and they said
big.
they
It's
took
a
'em
big
down.
airport, Brian. I think those are still there at last I checked. But anyways, the point being was that the main conspiracy about those murals was that this is like the New World Airport Commission built this airport, and it's really like some secret Illuminati headquarters. And then they're putting their plans on the wall, and now they've got all this underground infrastructure down there, and that's how they're going to ride out whatever they've got planned. So yeah, that's the whole idea. And that was my conspiracy is that the Denver airport connects to the Cheyenne Mountain complex, because if there's not an underground city under Denver airport, well, we know that there's one not too far away. And I think that's what you're kind of getting at, Aaron, is that if they've got something underground city in Taiwan, is that what you said? Taiwan?
Well, no. So it's actually here locally. It's owned by a company from Taiwan.
Gotcha. Oh yeah. So yeah, that's the thing. Even we talked about, I guess they call it Subtropolis. It's outside Kansas City, and there's a thing underground there. How many underground cities exist?
Yeah.
Is the real question.
Lots of them, probably.
Okay. It says, no, the controversial murals at the Denver airport were not removed. They were placed in temporary storage. So that's what they were. They're in temporary storage, apparently.
So stupid. The whole thing, that was part of the thing that was one of my jokes in the video when they were saying that if you actually look up all the quote unquote conspiracies about the airport, and then you have all these kind of shill web pages or Snopes type people trying to debunk the conspiracies, and they literally debunk none of them. None of it's debunked, because regardless of what the narrative is, it's still strange. And I think that's why people are really hinting at it. And so the people trying to run cover for the painter, the artist who did the murals, was that he did not get any kind of input, or he was never told what to paint.
Yeah, okay.
And I was like, well, why wouldn't they just have told him to paint something else then? Because like I said, I was just imagining, like, you can imagine like a skit, and you give this guy carte blanche to paint whatever he wants, and then somebody who hired him walks in, and he's got a soldier with a gas mask stabbing a dove surrounded by dead babies, and you wouldn't said, yeah, that's not going to work.
No, a guy that looks like a World War II German soldier with a gas mask, yeah, with a sword, with a bunch of dead kids and moms mourning their children.
Is that dead babies? Is that multiple dead babies?
They apparently made new murals, and I'd never seen these ones, but they have a tunnel that's got some insane stuff, and I don't know if this is even real. They have some weird demon thing now that's like painted on a new.
Hold on,
mural
at that airport?
Yeah,
Let
apparently there's some new
me see if I
murals.
can find that.
Here's
It says
what's
these new
BS
Denver
about
International Airport murals are getting out of hand.
Here's what's BS about that story that you read, JT, and that's that you can't tell me that when he got done with the first painting, that's like someone obviously came over and looked at it and said, "Fantastic, keep going." Right?
Yeah, right.
Like, it's not like if they had a chance to stop him after the first painting or halfway through the first painting, that takes time to paint something like that. They could have told him at any point in time to stop. We don't like that. We don't like the direction you're going in.
I always said, paint something happy. Maybe paint Tim Tebow.
His colors are happy, anyways.
Paint John Elway or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, paint something that would be like, hey, this is Denver. Painting an apocalypse on the wall in an airport when people are already anxious to fly is bizarre. Having a demonic blue horse with red eyes who killed its creator out front is odd and scary. Because the Denver airport, the Denver Broncos, their mascot is a white horse. So why would they have made a demonic blue horse? And
you guys know that picture? There's a picture of like a German boy wearing blue clothes. It's one of the murals that was there at the airport. Allegedly, that is Donald Trump because it looks exactly like him as a child.
Really? Yeah, so check this out.
There's a bunch of symbolism in that picture. Well, in all of them, obviously.
I found this Reddit page where it's talking about, this says 2 years ago, these new Denver International murals are getting out of hand. And so got one. I mean, that looks fine, I guess.
It's like they're bombing something. Looks like they're bombing.
And then this one is harder to see. I wish we had some better views of these. That one looks very futuristic.
Oh my gosh,
that one
dude.
looks like something weird is going on.
And it's a portal, like a tunnel, like you have to walk through it. So like
Yeah,
that's sketchy.
That I want. Next time I go there, I'm gonna like look at that one for sure.
Yeah, I think that's the one you're.
Dude, what?
That can't be real. That's got to be like maybe this is fake. That can't be. They posted that there. There's
Well,
no
I mean, I want to say that yeah, they have kind of leaned into the conspiracy stuff there, and they had signs up even during the construction thing. We're saying it's the world's weirdest airport. So yeah,
maybe
like
this is all AI. This has got to be. Maybe these are AI things.
somebody's gonna have to confirm if these are real.
You know what? The reason I think it's AI, if you go back a couple, there's a guy that has two
arms.
left hands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the 2 arms. I saw that. But that one looks. I don't know. That's weird. And see, those aren't planes.
No, yeah,
That's
those,
AI.
yeah, that's AI. That's AI. These are all AI.
I guess that's the thing is like that one. Those ones don't seem as. I guess they are a little weird.
Look at the planes;
Yeah.
they've got no
They're-
wings.
yeah, they got one wing.
Yeah, but knowing, yeah, it does look a little AI-y. I guess
And
the thing
then-
is,
and then-
nothing would surprise
That
me
one right
though.
there. You see the 2 hands on the guy on the right?
The guy on the right, bottom right, he's got two left hands.
No, it's not him. I think somebody's behind him raising their hand too.
Yeah, that still looks very AI to me because it's the same arm. And then if you go to the next one,
Yeah, there's also 2 hands here.
those
the
like
red.
what is that? Is that a flying sea turtle in the air?
I mean, it's a
It's
bunch
AI,
of
dude.
it's a bunch of
It's gotta be
ghouls.
AI.
Let me
Did a
see.
great job with it, but
I guess it's
I'm
the thing. It's
convinced
so like we would be surprised if it was.
Yeah, yeah. If
Well, it
it's
says right
real or
there.
not, it wouldn't be shocking.
Yeah. Oh, this is open AI.
Yeah.
Whoops, fooled us. But I guess that's the thing. It would not have surprised
all
us if
calm
it
down.
was real. Again, those ones were actually less horrifying than the real ones, though.
that's actually
That's
true.
kind of true in some way.
Yeah, I mean, like seriously, a soldier with a gas mask stabbing a dove surrounded by dead babies. Come on,
It's terrifying, man.
that's not something anybody wants to see before they go fly.
I can't believe I can't even believe they allowed that.
And that's what I said. So that the narrative says, oh, well, he got no guidance from the airport. And I was like, well, why didn't he get guidance? You just let some guy just paint whatever he wants. Who is he? This is not Michelangelo.
Yeah.
Just some
there
random
is
guy. You just let him paint whatever you want in the airport, and then you just give him, I don't know, give him $1 million to do it. And he paints
There is a
some kind of a
Freemason mount.
horrifying apocalypse, and then you don't say, nah, we're not actually paying you for that. You're going to have to give us something better than that. Paint some airplanes and something cool.
Yeah. There is a monument at the airport that literally says the New World Airport.
Oh yeah, there's a
And it's a
there's a
Freemason thing.
Freemason plaque where it's a with a time capsule. Yeah, that says this thing is built by the New World Airport Commission or something like that.
Yeah.
Or the
yeah,
one was it the New World
One
or is it
World
with the One
Airport.
World?
It
I
might
think
be
it's
the
one.
One World.
I think it's One World, and it was put in there by the most worshipful masters of the Freemasonry Lodge
Yeah,
or something
yeah.
like that.
It's funny how much things that we've pointed out that have been there for years, and we've pointed these out, and these conspiracies have blown up on the internet, and now they're like removing them. Isn't it funny? It's like these things get known, and all of a sudden they take them down, or they put them in storage, or they move them away, or like the Georgia Guidestones. It's like
That's because if only a few people know about them, they can make fun of us and call us crazy conspiracy theorists. But if it reaches a certain margin of people, it's more than just a conspiracy, and they've got to do something about it. It's all numbers,
Exactly.
man.
Yeah, I got a quick video. Maybe I can dig up the one about the capstone thing. I think this is funny because I remember I made this 17-minute video and I put it on YouTube, and maybe I can link that video because I never got as much run as I thought it would be on here. If you guys want to check that out. But I thought the funny part is that I started to cut this video into pieces because I was looking for just little TikTok content, and this is what ended up getting me banned. Well, that's when you get into the capstone and also the time capsule by the Freemasons, the most masterful lodges in Colorado. What's interesting is it was dedicated by the New World Airport Commission, which supposedly does not exist. Which I think is kind of a strange thing, is it better or worse that they don't exist? Because that seems weird to me that how could anyone who doesn't exist dedicate an airport? So we're the strange ones for asking questions about that. I think that those are fair questions. It's kind of like when people say the Illuminati does not exist, and then they put their symbols on everything. So they put their symbol on this airport that's very strange. I don't think that's a theory. The airport's very strange. They admit that. Then when we ask about it, they say, oh, well, they don't exist. And then we're kind of just like, and we're the weird ones. Like I said, the Illuminati puts their symbols on things like our dollar bill, like the Great Seal of America. And you know what? Also on the state seal of Colorado. Did you guys know that? Not a theory. It's real.
They own all of Colorado, apparently.
I mean, I didn't know that either. Is that Colorado state seal is the Illuminati eyeball.
Some kind of hub. That music, man. Every time I hear that music, I know I'm about to see a JT video.
Like I said, I think I've got the monopoly on all the videos that use that song. It's perfect for the Denver airport because that's literally, it's just all this kind of spooky, kooky stuff. It seems, I guess it is like they leaned into the conspiracy. So it's like, it's farcical. And so it is kind of funny, but it is like they're gaslighting us big time with this. Like, yeah, that this New World Airport Commission does not exist. And what we're told is they came up with a phony name for reasons. Because it was like they were going to put this capstone or this time capsule in there, and they had to put a name on it, so they just made one up. New World Airport Commission. That sounds like New World Order. And that fits like all the other weird stuff going on in this airport. And like, what's in the time capsule? And that's another mystery. It's like, what's even in it? You know, because typically
they file the paperwork before it's opened.
Well, typically what you would do is when you dedicate the airport, you would show all the people living today what's in there. Because it's supposed to be a surprise to the people who uncover it, not the people who lived during this time, right?
It's very strange, man.
The Denver airport. I never get tired of listening to stuff about the Denver airport. See, we got a couple more. Oh, you know what? I think this actually fits. I've been meaning to play this for a while. This might fit into the kind of the category of the early Stranger Things topic of mind control. This is like a kind of a very famous clip, and it's very bizarre, but I've never heard y'all's take on it.
Time now for the ridiculous. You've heard of Where in the World is Matt Lauer? Well, tonight we're asking, what in the world is up with Al Roker? And I asked this question with the utmost admiration and affection for Al Roker. I really like the guy. Now, a few days ago on the Today Show, Savannah Guthrie and Matt Lauer were talking about an upcoming performance from Lionel Richie. Savannah Guthrie was saying that Lionel Richie takes her back to the days of junior high school dances, and then this happened.
Will someone do the junior high hug dance? It's like this. You gotta make it real awkward.
That's exactly how you have to have a certain amount of distance between the bodies in junior high.
Yes, like they say in Catholic school, leave room for the Holy Ghost. Anyway, there is a lot of memories today, actually. It's a big day in music history.
35 years ago today, Elvis Presley passed away, the king of rock and roll. And as Mark Cohn says in his great song, Walking in Memphis, there's a pretty little thing waiting for the king down in the jungle room. Natalie Morales.
Now, I think they were talking about Elvis, something in the jungle room. I couldn't pay attention because Al Roker just kind of froze like that. He stood completely still with that look on his face for 17 seconds. 17 seconds, that's like a day and a half in live TV time. But we actually do have an explanation for what was up with Al Roker. He says he just wanted to see how long he could hold the pose, and the director kind of egged him on. So it wasn't really a glitch in the Matrix after all, as I initially thought. But one thing is for sure, if Al Roker ever shows up in your neck of the woods, whatever you do not challenge him to a staring contest, because you will most certainly lose.
So they were trying to get ahead of the conspiracies by giving us an explanation that's absolute garbage. Absolute garbage, dude. When in history have you ever seen any other announcer try to have a staring contest because they were given instructions to do so off camera immediately after the words Holy Ghost being spoken?
Yeah, the timing of that is...
Holy Ghost was triggered something in him. I'm sure Brian's got a lot to say about that.
Brian, had you ever seen that clip before?
Yeah, I made a video about it.
You did? Okay. Yeah, I knew.
Yeah.
I figured everybody had seen it, but I guess we had never really talked about it. It does kind of seem like that something just triggered him big time, and it's the coincidence that it's leave room for the Holy Ghost, and he just has just the weirdest look on his face. It seemed, it did seem like an eternity. It seemed longer than 17 seconds. It was very weird.
Whatever entity was possessing him, when she evoked the Holy Ghost and said it, it was like immediate like terror in the demon's face, and it left him. And then without that entity present, he just didn't probably know what to do. He probably was just like totally like frozen because that spirit that was controlling him was like, I'm out of here. Like, Holy Spirit, what? Like, oh my gosh, like, Holy Ghost. And so then he was just left dazed for a moment.
That makes more sense than anything that what's his face just said.
Yeah.
Or or that's the only thing that makes sense to me.
Well,
you could
even see Anderson Cooper he didn't seem like he bought it either. Like even the way he's kind of presenting it as like, this is what they say. You know what I'm saying? Didn't it kind of seem like he was even kind of like, because the thing is like, okay, so he decided to, like, Al Roker decided to make that face and hold it. And then he says the producer's egging him on. It's kind of like, why would the producer, like, what would the producer say?
Right. Like, and like right then, in
he's instantaneously getting that it's a bit, and hey, go hold it longer. Like, there's no way that doesn't happen without some kind of coordination. If that was true, it's not true, because yes, I agree, Brian. It was like, yeah, it makes sense that he was left like an empty vessel, because the Spirit just had said, the Holy Ghost scared whatever ghost was inside of him.
Yeah, exactly. And he was left just kind of blankly, probably was like, where am I? What am I doing? Oh my gosh, I'm on television. Where am I at? What's going on? Like, he was probably like trying to process everything and was just in a state of stunned.
He probably had to change his drawers afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's sitting there with a camera on him, surrounded by people. Like, what is going on? Yeah, it was like,
woke up in his body and was like,
there was an abandoned station that took place, and his avatar was left empty. That makes sense. Like, find me one other clip of Al Roker doing a bit on camera.
You know Al Roker being kind of weird because Al Roker was kind of famously very fat. He was like a really plump guy. And then when he got skinny, he started to look like really kind of weird. I wonder if there was
need to stay big, man.
Yeah, it was like because he was kind of more like a funny. He was kind of more funny and jolly back in those days. And then he did kind of get weird. So maybe you think that could have been the Spirit that kind of had made him look like just a husk of a man.
Or maybe he was replaced like Kanye.
You know, who was the other one where I remember the one is early conspiracies was not early conspiracies, but I remember like when I first got on TikTok, there was somebody I knew who posted a video about, was it Randy Jackson, who was on American Idol.
So I'm watching Name That Tune. What happened to Randy Jackson? Because hold on, let me just show y'all. Who is that?
And it's all going down for charity right now. It's time to play Name That Tune.
Especially with this guy, it's Randy Jackson and the Name That Tune band.
I think it's gonna be a hot one tonight.
Who is that, y'all?
So, do you want to meet tonight's celebrities?
Who is that?
It's
I know I'm not tripping. I am not tripping here. That does not look normal.
And he was a bigger guy. And then it was like a real, kind of, I guess this is probably like 3 years ago now. And he almost looked like one of those puppets from like Team America World Police, like the Trey Parker.
Oh, plastic.
It's like his head was like really big, but his like body looked really small. You know what I'm talking about? If I can dig that up, I'll have to put that in here so you guys can check out what I'm talking about.
You know what's crazy though is anytime they have a huge change in the way they look like that, like their personalities shift also though.
Yes.
Like the people in the limelight, it just, I don't know, it feels to me like they're just literally not the same person anymore.
Right. Well, that's one of these ones. I know there's one account I follow, and she's been talking a lot about that, about how all these celebrities, they look so different. Like an example recently is like Bradley Cooper. Bradley Cooper is not really that old, and he comes back and he's like looking like Ellen DeGeneres in some kind of recently.
Dude, Zac Efron? Did you see what happened to Zac Efron?
Zac Efron was like, he was like a pretty boy, and then he looks like Shrek now. He looks like Lord Farquaad from the Shrek movies now. Like his chin got like, he had like a pronounced chin because he had like a strong.
He looked perfectly fine. Like he was A-okay. Like he had everything going for him. He didn't need to change a thing. So like explain that to me. I just don't buy it that he wanted to look even better. But then again, you never know because, that kind of stuff is a sickness in the brain. And even the most flawless looking people, they still don't think that they are.
Well, right. Obviously, that's a psychological condition. That's likely a spiritual issue where this person is demonically, they got body dysmorphia and they can't. It's like these people who some women would be like, I'm fat. And you're like, no, you're not. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you look fine. And then they keep getting skinnier and they still think that they're fat. And you're like, what is wrong?
But these people's whole physique changes. Like, it wasn't just one thing changed on him. Like, his jawline changed. Everything changed.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like this guy, obviously a handsome guy. It's like he's got a straw jawline anyway, so he doesn't need to get any kind of plastic surgery. But I know that the early transformation with him was when he was going to go do that show, the movie Baywatch. And so you can tell he got all roided out. I mean, he wasn't huge, but he was totally shredded, ripped. And then he did a role where he was playing this pro wrestler. And then I think he did a lot more steroids. It looked like, so I kind of wonder if it has something to do with it. I know when Barry Bonds, as we were talking about the steroids in baseball, Barry Bonds was supposedly taking HGH. And so that's a human growth hormone. And they were saying like that his hat size went up like 3 hat sizes. Like that's the thing with like HGH. I think it makes it's not just your muscles.
You literally keep growing. Like, you'll actually gain height and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that makes sense that maybe if he got on massive amounts of human growth hormone, maybe that would change his jaw structure. But now he looks
interesting.
Really weird. It was funny. I was going down the rabbit hole. I was watching stuff on Netflix, and I was watching about the Liver King. That was a ridiculous story that anybody thought that guy wasn't massively on roids. You heard the story about him. He was eating bull's balls and
raw
stuff
liver.
like that. Oh my gosh. It's just the most disgusting thing. And of course, he's selling supplements, and he's telling everybody he doesn't use steroids. And anybody who's ever been to the gym knows that guy is taking all the juice.
Anyone who's ever tried to lift like consistently for a solid few months would understand.
Yeah, that guy's not natty. There's no way, no how. So then it turns out that he is on it, and they were saying he was spending $11,000 to $12,000 a month on HGH, and we're watching. So me and my wife were watching it, and she's like, "How old do you think he is?" And I said, "He's probably mid to late 50s." And I look up, and he's my age. But you look at if you look at his face, it's like, his face, like he's got like bags under his eyes and stuff. Like, of course, he's got this massive beard. And I wonder how much it has to do with the fact that you're taking so many different hormones. And it's, like muscular wise, he looks great. He's depending if that's your thing, but he looks good, muscular, but his soul's getting sucked out of him by doing all the anabolics.
But like, there's a difference between the people whose bodies change a little bit. Like, I'm not sure Zac Efron and Bradley Cooper have been replaced. I think that they just made some really poor decisions. Whereas I feel like people like Randy Jackson and that news guy you just showed, I already forgot his name. Al Roker. And then like people like Kanye, for sure. That's not even debatable. And then also like Dave Chappelle. Like their body sizes aren't even the same. Their frames aren't the same. Their facial characteristics aren't the same. The way they talk is not the same. Like it would seem to me like they have physically been replaced.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, after dealing with demon possession and stuff, like when I pray for people, they change. Like their face will change. They're like, people will look at them afterwards and be like, you are like a different person. Like, and like, bro, there's been so many times I have a friend who he'll take a photo of a person. He'll say like, what's the most recent photo you got in your library? And then he'll take, and after they pray, he takes a photo of them. And then he's like, now bring up your most recent photo you have of yourself and look at this. And like, you can like see, like, you're like, this was taken like a day ago or whatever. And now look at your face. And like, bro, their face changes, like their eyes shift, the wrinkles in their face will shift, like and this is just demons leaving people. So I don't know what it is, but demons definitely have a sort of effect on some people's bodies and the way they present themselves or the way they look or the way they carry themselves, the way they walk changes. Like I've seen all kinds of stuff when demons leave people. Like I've seen all kinds of drastic changes, but dang, I looked up that Efron. I'm still tripping, by the way, about like Popeye. Did you know that no facial hair is an effect of crack, by the way? You lose your facial hair.
No body hair, dude. No hair anywhere.
Bro, yeah, the jaw sticks out and you lose your teeth and you have no facial hair.
Well, it's not so much
literally Popeye.
I don't know if it's so much crack, it's more like meth.
Okay, meth. Yeah, meth. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like methamphetamines.
There's a poor part that's all methed out near me, and like, bro, if you just walk down the street, you see all these people with like their jaw is all like stuck out like this.
They all
and it's
look like that. Yeah.
They have no teeth and they have no hair on their face. And I was always wondering why the dudes were all
They're
all,
on
like,
that
clean
spinach,
shaven.
Brian.
Bro, they're on spinach.
I agree with the thing that you said about the demons and the countenance changing, but I also fully believe that clones are used.
There could even there either could be
clone level.
I am 100%.
Well, what they could definitely do, that I'm open to the idea, but what I think would be more likely, because the real issue with clones would be being able to get a clone. Yeah, gosh, he
that's
looks
so wild.
Yeah,
man.
he looks bad.
That's pretty bad with like Zac Efron. Like, dude, what the heck did you do?
Yeah,
to
like
yourself,
why did you
buddy?
do that?
Bro, like
No,
they
but the clone-
he put something in his chin and he gave himself lip injections.
Yeah, he's got.
He went from Zac Efron to Zac Efron.
But yeah, the real problem with the clone theory, I think, is that how do you get a clone to be of age for somebody? You know what I mean?
So
that's the thing.
Yeah.
You can't speed up age. That's what I.
But how do we know though?
Well,
How do we
I think
know?
would be
You
more
can't speed
like.
up intelligence. You can't speed up age because people would like zap themselves to be that smart.
Are
to
you
process
familiar with
things. That's too
hyperbaric chambers
impossible.
though? Are you familiar with hyperbaric chambers and what they do?
Yeah, but that doesn't speed up intellectual understanding. Because if we could do that, we would just make people smarter instantly.
No, it doesn't. But if they can implant, like, okay, look where we're at technologically. Look where we're at
I
with
think it's
AI.
all
Look
demons, bro.
I know you do. I know you do. And
We all
I
know
would
that,
say, I would say that the technology behind it is demonic. That's not even a question. The intentions behind it are demonic. I still think that it, like the whole premise of creating a body that's a sleeve, basically, and a vessel to inject something into it, it would have to be something demonic that they're injecting into it. It would have to be. It's not like that person is no longer like just a normal human anymore. So the whole premise of a clone would be demonic, right? So that's what I believe. Just like I believe that like perhaps the Greys that people have seen, the little aliens, I think that they're synthetically created sleeves for demons to possess.
I think that's
to have a-
possible.
That I think is possible, but they don't talk.
But if
the
that's
thing.
possible and the clone's not,
no.
Like,
Yeah,
clone's
that's
not.
true. You got to be open to both. What I would just say in
That's
that
what I
he
think.
said hard.
I think that what you could get somebody who's similar looking enough, and then you could give them
Yes.
plastic surgery.
Yeah, you can get someone
Bro,
close
if they're
enough.
cloning, you can buy a family dog clone right now. for
Yeah, but
$2
I guess
grand.
I guess the real
age,
issue
though.
would be like this person's got to act like this other person, even if they are acting weird.
Look.
It would be more
But if
likely.
they clone from
you
your
know one
DNA.
thing. Do you remember watching? Do you remember we talk about the Prestige all the time? Do you remember how that? So they had the transporting man trick, and so like Michael Caine, who's the magician, right? And he's the one who's kind of the brains behind it all. Oh, there's a double. Like he knew instantly that there would be a double because that's the only way you can do this trick. So they just got somebody who looks like this guy, and then they trained him to be the other guy. So they
That's
had
what I
a,
think.
so they went in, found an actor that looked just like Hugh Jackman, and he ended up being part of the act, and he looked close enough like Hugh Jackman to be him. And the only other way that they pulled off the other trick, and here's another option: what if, like Christian Bale's character, he had a twin brother, and that's how they're doing some of this stuff. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Because I think
have
that's the
another
thing.
theory.
It was like that. Of course, the movie does obviously give you the third option that there is real magic through this Tesla machine that they could actually make a different person. But that's kind of what the movie's showing you, though, that we're looking for the real magic. I guess we're looking for like the cloning magic. But the movie's showing you could do two things. You can either have a body double who looks like you, or you can have an identical twin. And I wonder if that could be something, because if you really think about there was that movie they made back in the 70s, and it was called The Boys from Brazil. And it was all about one of these, Nazi scientists going down into Argentina or something, Brazil area. And there was all
Trying to
these
make
twins. There was all these twins. There was so many sets of twins and triplets and multiple people because that's what they were experimenting on. So what if that's why these people look like they do?
They could be twins from the beginning, maybe. That could be an option.
Right, but
like,
well, I mean, it's kind of like
I
if you
got a
watch
third.
that when they have child stars, like the Olsen twins, when she was originally on Full House, they didn't know, nobody knew that it was a twin until later they were told that, oh, this is what we often do with children because sometimes they're hard to work with. So so if one gets tired, we just put the other one in the scene. So how often do you think that happens? They don't ever tell us.
They could be twins. Okay, I have a third option. I think this is what I think. Either it's just demons possessing the people, and it shifts their face and it shifts their presence, because I've seen it. I've actually witnessed this. So that's what I think it is mostly. Or secondarily, it could be a lookalike, and they've got a plethora of everybody. There's somebody that looks like you everywhere. Like there's easily somebody that looks like you. And they could have just found a person that looks like them, has enough trauma. All they have to do is say, sleep. You are now, whoever, Kevin Jones or whatever random person you want them to be. And then you feed them a bunch of like spirits from that original person that have been following that person around their whole life. And we say, hey, demons that have been following Zac Efron around, go into this person now. Zap him out and become Zac Efron. And then it becomes that character. They become, from the demons that control him, they are now personifying because those demons have followed Zac Efron his whole life. They put him in a new body and boom, he's another person. Obviously, Zac Efron's not the example we're using, but somebody else like Kanye West. You found a double of Kanye West, a person that looks just like Kanye, took the demons that followed Kanye, and then said, okay, Kanye doesn't want to listen, put him in this other spirit and this other person. That's how I would see it. That's enough.
With all due respect to both of you, I think it's crazy to believe all of the things that we believe and not believe that they can clone literally anyone with DNA. And speed up the growth process. I don't agree with that.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know that. I'm just saying that I'm still open to the idea. But I think that a lot of times it is like if you're like a detective and somebody's murdered in the house, most of the time it's somebody who's close to them. So most of the time it is the most simple explanation. It's Occam's razor. What would be the easiest thing to do? Now, is it possible that they have high technology that we don't know about? For sure.
See, I think that's easy for them now.
I think it would be easier to just get somebody who looked like them.
Sure, yeah, it'd be way easier.
I don't think it's the kind of thing that this is what I think. I think that that's reserved for like A-list people or people in the limelight that they have tried every other option with. That's what I believe. I believe that these are the people that they can't control. These are the people that they've tried to control. These are the people that they've threatened. These are the people that have lost stuff. These are the people that they've done absolutely everything in their power to control. And the last ditch effort is a clone. And in every situation that this happens, these people disappear for a long period of time. They're off the radar, they're out of the limelight, and during that time, then someone comes back. It happened with Dave Chappelle. It happened with Kanye. I believe it happened to both of them. It happened with, what's his name? He's an actor. He was in that, oh my gosh, what's his name? He's famous, obviously.
I get what you're
he
talking
was
about.
in.
Keep going.
They cloned Tyrone. He was in They Cloned Tyrone.
Jamie Foxx. We talked about that, yeah.
Yes, I believe it happened with him. But of everyone that's ever happened to, dude, Kanye Southwest, because we're seeing Kanye Southwest right now. That's not Kanye West. I unequivocally believe it happened with that guy because he came back completely different. He looked different. He talked different. He was a different size, and he sounds the same, but like not quite. Like everything he was when he left, he came back. It was all undone. He was supporting Balenciaga again. He was married to that like.
This was literally like the first episode of JT's mixtape. Me and Brian talked about this exact same subject. Yeah, Kanye West.
I can't sit here and tell you guys it's an absolute fact that he was cloned, but I can tell you that I 100% believe that that's exactly what happened, like without even a question. So I think that they reserve that because I mean we've all heard the story of Paul McCartney and what happened with Paul McCartney.
Yeah,
right?
My buddy Max did a video about Paul McCartney once, and the stuff about
they did a worldwide talent search to find someone that looked like him.
What do they call him? Like Billy Sears or something like that. There's like the real Paul McCartney now that he was like taller and stuff. Something weird about him.
But all of the evidence that they gave in their album artwork and the music that they made, like everything that was there, like it all made sense. And I'm willing to bet that like with cloning technology and everything that they started to gain, they probably saw that situation and they were like, we're not always going to be able to find a double. We're not always going to be able to find someone that looks exactly like them, and we need to have control over that.
But if you think about it, though, in Hollywood, it's really not uncommon to have a double. a stand-in.
Have you seen the doubles though? Have you
What
seen
I'm saying
what they
is
look like?
it's not always good, but I'm just saying like, but that's a common practice is to have
They're
a
stunt
double.
doubles. That's different than just a double that looks like someone.
Yeah, their faces don't look.
But they do have,
different.
they have body doubles, they have stunt doubles. Do you think that
Yeah.
they don't try to find somebody who looks like them?
I'm sure that they try to, but I don't think that's. I think it depends on how high up you are and whether or not you're someone that has an estate that can carry on.
Well,
like
there's-
if you're.
But there's also, but I'm just saying, like, just historically, obviously, political leaders have often had doubles. I mean, that's like that's not a conspiracy. That's a thing. Like that they would want somebody who looked like the president or the king to go do X, Y, or Z.
Padme had a double.
Right. Padme had a double. That's right. And Keira Knightley and Keira Knightley and what's her name? Natalie Portman looked pretty similar.
Well, they were originally, Keira Knightley was a double for.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what we're saying. In that movie, they both played the queen.
But let's look at like what we know for sure. Okay, so Dolly, the goat that they cloned, and they told us about that. What, the sheep in 1990? They told us about that in 1990. Like, do we really think they stopped there 35 years ago?
So I worked with a geneticist who was doing this cloning stuff. So like I talked to him and asked him some questions about this kind of stuff. So I've looked into this pretty thoroughly, like the cloning capabilities
With
and the capacity.
a geneticist.
Say
okay.
what?
You work
The
with
dude-
a
yeah.
geneticist.
With a geneticist, yes. And so, and he's the dude that's making dinosaurs, trying to resurrect dinosaurs. Okay, so
I already
Jack
don't believe
Warner.
anything he says.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, he's pretty famous. His dinosaurs were the Jurassic Park theory was made after what he did. He's like the world's most famous paleontologist, and so like literally, he's the one that first to discover dinosaurs care for their young, that they had feathers, and he didn't have a degree. They actually gave him a honorary degree because he actually balked the system so hard. He ruined everybody's career about dinosaurs. He ruined the whole industry about dinosaurs because here's this dude who just digs up bones and goes, hey, I think this is what they are. And I cut into the bones. And they're like, you cut into them? They're like, how dare you? And so he did that and just ruined the whole scientific narrative around dinosaurs came from this dude, Jack Horner. And he's actually been hired to try to resurrect or recreate genetic DNA that he was able to pull from dinosaur bones, which the scientific community was like, there's no way you're going to get dinosaur DNA. And he's like, well, actually, when I cut open the bones, I found soft tissue in some of them. And they're like, oh my gosh, that can't be real. And they said he was a quack. Well, he's like, I'm not a quack. There is soft tissue in them. So you guys all think I'm wrong, but I'm going to prove to you and show you. And he was able to pull genetic DNA extrapolated from dinosaur bones because they're not that old. And he even shows that they're not that old. He won't tell people on the record that they're not that old because he knows that he'll get crucified. He's already been crucified. But he was able to prove that, yeah, he found soft tissue. His team literally got hired and given millions of dollars to resurrect the genome of the T-Rex.
Okay, let's
And
not get
the
too
whole
far
thing.
off track on
So-
the dinosaur subject, but
I'm just saying, like the genetics aspect of cloning, they've been trying to do it, and I've seen their technology. I know how a lot of it works, and there's so many nuances. Like, so let's say something grows up, a person grows up, if they break their arm, then they're going to grow up with a deformity from that broken arm. How could they recreate that? Let's say they got a scar that caused a weird tissue growth, like to clone.
Well,
to
I don't think
recreate that
anybody
is
says it
just
has to be
so
perfect, but I
difficult.
think the difference is when you talk about Dolly the sheep, it's like if you cloned a dog is a full-grown dog in a year. It takes a person 20 years to be a full-grown
That's
person.
the hang up, right? We're not questioning whether you can clone someone. We're questioning
we-
whether or
we
not
are-
you can
I guess we-
speed up the growth.
I guess we
Yeah,
still
the
do
brain,
wonder
and
if
the brain function of the
where is God in this story? Like, can they put a consciousness?
That's what I'm saying. It's a demonic practice.
Into a person. No, I agree. No, that's what I'm saying. I'm still open to the idea. I'm just saying like that there does seem to be certain limitations that they could possibly be constrained by God to not let them do that. Because that's what Brian said. And that makes sense that you could get something to like the gestation process and it would be like, oh, this thing's going to be,
No, they'll
like
malfunction.
some kind of weird chimera, but then it's born or it hatches and it dies right away because it's not meant to live.
I think that there would be boundaries like that. I think that there would be certain things, but I think that they would also have restrictions. There would probably be a limit on their lifespan. There would probably be things that would cause them to malfunction. I don't know what how the conscience side of things work, other than the fact that we're about to see them do that with robots and AI. They're already using AI to give conscience to. Like we're gonna be alive to see them blur the line to where we're gonna see people that are walking, talking, acting like everyday humans, interacting like them, doing everything the same as you and me, but they're straight up made of metal.
Straight up Arnold Schwarzenegger. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And if you guys want to watch these early and uncensored, please support this podcast on Patreon. Otherwise, you can maybe check out Modern Roots Life and support your health in this show at the same time. Or grab a hat. Of course, I've been teasing these hats and people have been emailing me about them, but I need to get them on my website because I'm really bad at getting back to people. Sorry about that, guys. I acknowledge that. But yeah, if you can guys give me a t-shirt right now or maybe a hat soon. Well, anyways, guys, really appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We love you guys. God bless.